Thank you.
Thanks for having us here.
Oh, you're welcome.
This
My
is
pleasure.
incredible.
I love people to come visit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I have read about the Monroe Institute for so long, and I've never been here, and it's incredible to come here. I don't know what I expected because I'd never seen any pictures of it.
Oh.
I thought maybe like a big building or like, and to come up onto the Appalachian Mountains with, you got a couple of little spots tucked away, and it's like a campus. It's like a camp.
Yeah.
I thought it reminded me of like a summer camp.
Yeah, and that's how I feel about it, or felt about it when I was a participant. That I was coming to summer camp.
It's like a retreat. I mean, it's like quiet, and you got a huge ridgeline. And
when you say you were a participant, what exactly were you a participant in? In what year was the first time
I started in 2009. That's when I first showed up.
Okay.
And I took Gateway, which is the flagship program.
Yeah.
And that's how it all started.
And Gateway is to learn.
So that's to learn the focus levels. Are y'all familiar with the map of consciousness that Bob Monroe? He basically charted a way for us to navigate.
Yeah.
And then the sound frequencies or the technology, sound technology supports you going to these different focus levels, he called them. They're numeric, but they're not in order.
They're not in order. Like focus level 10, right?
So focus 10 is mind awake, body asleep. So it has a purpose. It's not better than focus 12, focus 15. It just is different.
Do you know how he named them? And why they aren't just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Well, he was trying to create a system that wasn't hierarchical, but that didn't work out because people go, I want to go to 27. That's got to be better.
You don't want to think this is better than that.
Then he was trying to name things, not using common day at the time, names that would be considered new age or woo-woo. He's trying to be very technical, matter of fact.
Yeah.
And so he chose focus levels because that's where you're focusing, and then a numeric system.
What was the first, when you were doing Gateway, and you were here, you were on this campus 15 years ago?
Is that 15 years ago?
Yeah, we won't do the math.
2009.
That's right,
whatever
2009.
Yes.
What was kind of the first, do you remember the first moment that you you came out of your body or something happened like that?
I'm going to backtrack.
Okay, all right.
So this happened. A lot of people report this. So when I walked into the building, and it was the building next to, two buildings over.
Okay.
The first one you saw,
the big one,
that has the big tower.
Glass.
This one.
This one.
Oh, there we go.
This building.
This building. So when I walked into the front door, I turned the corner, and all of a sudden I was just hit with this it was like a wave of you're home. I mean, it's hard to explain, but so many people say the same thing. I don't know why, but it was unexpected, and it was very powerful.
Like a peace
right.
settled
it was
over
like,
you.
I mean, it was like I heard.
Yeah.
But it was, I am home.
Wow.
And again, it's common for people to feel that. Now, when you come to Gateway, it's not about going out of body.
Okay.
We do have one exercise that introduces the idea to you, but that's not the purpose.
Okay.
The purpose is to learn the focus levels and to learn how to navigate the different territories.
And so it's really like weight training for your mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
So some people come and they have even the introductory program Gateway, they'll have these amazing experiences. They'll have an out of body. So that does happen.
Okay.
But for most of us, it's a training.
Yeah.
So we get introduced to these concepts, then we go home and we use them and we develop. So we become more intuitive, or we learn how to do lucid dreaming or out of body or spoon bending or remote viewing. Everybody can do it. It's how much do you want to do it? How natural is it for you to do it?
Yeah, right.
Because not everybody is. I had to learn it all.
Okay.
Yeah, I started with.
It didn't come naturally.
No, it did not. The only thing that came natural to me was being an empath.
Okay.
Just reading a room.
Yeah.
Emotionally. That was it. And then the rest, it just developed.
And is that helpful for this?
Yeah.
To be an empath?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then it's also helpful for empaths to learn tools to protect themselves. Because if you are an empath, you pick up everything. And then a lot of times you're not even sure of the source.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that feeling about that coming from? And you think it's yourself, and it's not. Like if somebody's very uncomfortable in their skin, you're very confident. You start talking to them, and all of a sudden you start feeling uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, that's pick up on it,
right? And you might find yourself being that. Like demonstrating that.
So it's like the ability to tap into the conscious web, kind of, as some people call it. Okay, so all of these skills are related because of the conscious field, because it's connected to.
Okay, that would be my guess.
Okay,
Yeah.
We don't know
All
exactly.
conjecture here. Yeah.
That's
As best as we understand
right.
it.
We can't, as I was telling one of you earlier, we don't know all the answers. We don't know why these things happen.
Yeah.
But we've been able to tap in and, use some of these techniques and tools to do things that seem extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
But they're ordinary. It's just, where's your attention and focus?
How much of this is, in your opinion, physical versus spiritual? We were talking about this on the way up, and I don't even know how to. Some of those seem so related that I almost have trouble defining that. But like to make an example, physical to me would be like, well, we've just been thinking our whole lives, and so different neurons are firing, and so we don't know how to quiet our mind because you've never quieted your mind, and so these exercises will help just get those neurons to calm down, and now new things happen.
Right.
And so it's very physical of focusing to calm your neurons down.
Right.
Versus how much of it transists into some like realm that we don't know about, and you're pulling energy, power, view, whatever.
You're not going to like my answer, Matt. It's both.
Of course. Okay.
Yeah, because
linked.
part of the training is to quiet that mind, that monkey mind, especially if you're very analytical.
Yeah.
Those individuals sometimes struggle more than others because as you're having an experience, say you're in a meditation, you've got the sound technology going, and something happens, you're expecting it a different way, so you push away.
It snaps you out of it.
Does that too. And then you also are analyzing it, like, oh, why did that just happen?
Oh.
And what's going on here? Instead of letting it play out and analyzing it later. So it's interesting how that can happen. But our tools help you quiet that mind and let it go. The only dogma that we say around here is that you're more than your physical body. And so we're helping you remove yourself from that physicalness.
Yeah.
Focus 10, mind awake, body asleep. We're putting your body to sleep.
Okay.
And then as your body's asleep, that physical part of you is asleep, then your mind is alert, you stay alert, and you have the experiences subconsciously. You remember the experiences consciously. We all have these experiences. We just don't consciously know it.
Get to them and right. It just happens to us sometimes.
So the training is to stay alert.
Yeah.
Why this is happening.
I tried to learn how to lucid dream like 20 years ago.
Okay.
And the tactic that I was taught was to ask yourself if you're dreaming throughout the day. Okay. Like when you're awake.
That is a technique.
And you go, am I dreaming? Yeah. No. Am I dreaming? No. And you kind of build this habit. So then hopefully in the middle of a dream, I don't know if this is the best way. This is just 20 years ago, me doing whatever. So then but I practiced it for about a month, and I got to the point where I'm in the middle of a dream and I'd go, am I dreaming? And then I'd go, oh, I am. But then I'd get so excited that I realized that I was dreaming that my eyes would open and I'd wake all the way. I'd wake myself up and I'd try and fight. And it happened like 10 times in a row where I'd realize I was dreaming and I'd go, don't get excited. And I couldn't help it. I was so excited that I realized I was dreaming in my dream that it woke me all the way up.
That happens with out of bodies too. And it's happened to me. Yeah. Cause you're like, oh yeah,
you're like,
here we go.
Boom.
Yeah. So that is just repetition. So you said 10 times.
Yeah.
So you've done it 10 more times.
I maybe would have had it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta, right.
So it really is building a muscle, unless it's just a gift, a natural gift that you have, or let's say you've had a trauma like an NDE, a near-death experience or something like that. That can bring on these, you step into those abilities
breaks the barrier
without discipline.
Yeah.
Where you're at right now, do you have any daily practices that you do to keep practicing repetitions?
I do. So are y'all familiar with the Expand app?
No.
So it's our app and has meditations and exercises. We call them exercises. Most people know that as meditations because we're not doing jumping jacks. We're just listening to the sound technology, and it's narrated or not.
Okay.
And so we've got like 5-minute ones on there. Some of those I did. And then we've got some that are just music. So my practice tends to be, one, we do it for the staff every Tuesday where we do a group, what we call patterning. So we're patterning what we want to unfold for the future of the organization. So that's one thing I do on Tuesday. Then I'll listen to those 5-minute ones. They're like forgiveness or releasing what no longer serves me. Stepping into those frequencies, even if it's for 5 minutes. And then my main go-to is the nonverbal.
Okay.
And that means there's no narrative. No narrative. It's just it's sound frequency. So pink noise, ocean surf, and so I'll play that and work with that.
And do you
sleep with it too?
Do you still stay very still? And like, how do you
if
get there?
If I'm doing the exercise, I do. It's the idea is I'm lying down.
Oh, okay.
And I'm in a position that I want to be to meditate, or you could be in a recliner, something comfortable.
Sure.
If you're somebody that keeps falling asleep when you get first introduced to this, you might want to sit up.
Yeah, right.
But I would start by seeing if you can remain alert while lying down, just because it's more comfortable.
Easier for the body to fall asleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to ask about the CIA and the Gateway and that whole, there's a whole document that they wrote up in the 80s and page 25 was missing. And I think we found it since then. And I guess one of the questions I have is Monroe working with the CIA anymore?
No, and we never were.
And you never were.
No,
it was just them taking the course.
No, right. So it was the
Army.
The CIA is who classified it.
Oh.
And declassified it.
Because Joe McMoneagle was Army.
Right.
Yeah,
so
right.
It was the Army.
Yeah.
So it was, yes, Joe and a few others came here and trained under Bob.
Yeah.
They were countering what the Soviets were doing. The Soviets were doing those psychic spies and doing some things that they were trying to make people ill or kill them psychically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was what
someone's brain.
Right. So that's what they were doing. And so the remote viewing became our counter to it.
Is there any truth to that?
Yeah. The Russians were not doing remote viewing. They were doing these other things.
But they were working.
Yes.
They were infecting.
Well, I don't know if they were working.
Yeah, that's
they were they were using these techniques.
Sure. Yeah.
So we came in and started using remote viewing.
Okay.
But we didn't, the protocol had to be developed. So what we teach here is the protocol that Joe McMoneagle learned.
Oh.
Bob did not teach him the protocol. It was taught through the Army. But we had the tools to support Joe and other remote viewers to get into that state of awareness that helped them more easily, readily remote view.
Did the Army develop its own protocol? Independent of the Monroe Institute?
Yes.
And then they kind of found Monroe and you guys started working together kind of thing.
Because they weren't sure, if you were having an out of body, was that a good way to remote view? Like that so they were searching for how to put things together. And that's not, the remote viewing protocol is not out of body.
Oh, you're just sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not actually going.
You can have an out of body and remote view.
Yeah.
But that's not really that hasn't, shown to be the best method.
Okay.
And so they developed this protocol. And it was a colonel who came, that paper you're talking about, who took Gateway. And then he wrote a paper about it. So it's only his perception.
It's just the one guy.
It's just the one guy.
He stayed for a week, took it, and wrote this thing
It's his
up.
perception of what happened.
Okay.
25, we don't know why page 25 was missing. We had it the whole time.
Sure.
And it was, apparently 24 looked like it was a cliffhanger. Like whatever was on 25 was like
secrets
going
to
to solve.
Yeah.
But they weren't. But of course we loved watching it because we didn't know about it till later. Actually, it took about 4 years after it was released that somebody finally reached out to us and said, where is this missing page?
Yeah.
So then we discover, and this is before I was in this role, but we discover all of this back talk going on and, conspiracy stuff about people trying to figure it all out.
Yeah.
And we go, well, we have it. And so we
just release it.
Deliver it.
It's not a secret.
And it's not a secret.
There's nothing on there. Or, there's
but
the big reveal or something.
It's still to this day. It's a very interesting topic and it shows up in social media posts. And so it's kept it alive.
So was the Army was working with Monroe Institute?
Well, not directly. They were sending people to have training.
It never got contracted.
No,
No,
it was only to pay for people to come here.
They were just sending
as a
people.
participant.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. And Bob Monroe was investigated by the CIA. I think it was CIA. I'm not quite sure, or maybe it was a Department of Defense Intelligence.
Yeah.
But so he was investigated to make sure everything was okay,
above board,
and he was cleared for people to take courses here.
Got it.
So,
And that's the whole relationship.
Yeah.
They just sent students.
yes.
Okay.
And it's out there that the CIA gave us millions of dollars.
Yeah.
No, we
Maybe
do not.
that's why I expected to see a huge building when
Right.
I came out here.
No.
Landing defense contracts
No.
with it's some huge
No.
campus.
No.
Oh my!
Have you met
gosh.
any of those the people that took the early classes, like Joe McMonagle?
Well, he's here this week. He's training remote viewing.
Oh, he
Oh,
is.
really?
Oh, he still does it.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
He is married to Bob Monroe's stepdaughter, Scooter McMonagle, or Nancy.
Oh, all right.
And she was the executive director for about 5 years, and plus she's been with the institute over the years in many different roles. Even when Bob was alive, she helped with the training.
What's the primary reason someone comes here?
It's a lot of different reasons.
Okay.
Yeah,
What are the top 3 reasons someone would want to come here?
Well, out of body, going out
they
of
want
body.
to go out of body. They've
And
heard about it. And they
a
want
lot of
to
times
go.
they show up to Gateway a little disappointed when we start off by saying, and it's in our literature
Sure.
before you sign up, this is not what this focus is.
Mhm.
But we believe if you will step back a little bit,
Foundation.
learn, it's the foundation.
And then are there follow-on classes for out of body?
Yes, we have
Ah.
one called OBE Spectrum, which
Okay.
introduces many techniques, not just Bob's, because one thing doesn't always work for everyone.
Okay.
And when you have, like, Bob is a little bit more logical in his, he had this technique called the log roll. So you would think about yourself as a log rolling out.
Okay.
That doesn't work for me, and it doesn't work for a lot of people because that's not how we perceive things or how we engage.
Yeah.
So without a body, you learn a lot of different techniques to see if which one's yours.
It's very much a personal journey then.
Yes.
It's almost a journey of learning yourself and how you
Yes.
work. Okay.
And what we say, we have a program agenda. So let's say you sign up for Gateway. You come, we've got our agenda, we've got our plan. We're going to talk about Focus 10 today. We're going to talk about Focus 12 tomorrow. But you come, each individual, with your own agenda,
Sure.
which our agenda can be put aside. We don't care, because
Oh, okay.
it's you that is here to self-evolve.
Mm.
And do you think it's always, if the mission is to help people self-evolve,
Mhm.
that generally is going to be positive. It can't go negative, really?
We don't see it go negative.
Okay.
And the times that there might have been a perception of that, it's usually because somebody's working through a layer that is a little messy, whether it's self-forgiveness, whether it's
Personal.
overcoming a trauma that was really bad. That's where it can get, but usually, it's not about staying there. And it's also like when I said that meditation, release what no longer serves you, you don't have to know what you're releasing.
All right.
So it's not like going to the therapist and sitting there and rehashing that.
We have to remember.
Right.
Or,
every detail of what happened. I'm releasing that because that really, it's just I'm ready to release. And you go through the intention of doing that, and it really works.
Okay, so out of body is one.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What are another couple of top reasons people would come?
Remote viewing.
Remote
It's selling
viewing.
out a lot these days.
It is.
Yeah, because
Okay.
it's all over the place.
It's all over the
Yeah.
place. Yeah,
It's a hot
okay.
topic right now.
And
then out of body remote viewing. MC squared is another one that's very popular, and that's where we do the spoon bending, lighting lights with our hands.
lighting lights?
Mhm.
A light bulb?
Fluorescent.
A fluorescent light.
Uh-huh.
You put your hands around it and it lights up.
Uh-huh. I was never able to do it, but I've seen other people do it.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah.
What does MC squared stand for?
Or is it just Einstein's
Yeah, it's just-
MC
yeah.
squared?
It's just
reference
Einstein.
equals
Okay.
MC squared.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it made me think a minute. What
Mass
is it?
C is the
Yeah.
speed of
Yeah.
light.
Yes.
No. Yeah, right.
That.
And we have a couple of spoons that have been bent here as well.
We do have some
Yes.
Yeah, it's worth
spoons.
getting those on camera.
Oh my
Look
goodness.
at these.
These.
And what I do want to say, it's not
my.
it's not with your mind. You do hold the spoons.
You have to physically bend it.
Right.
Or
But-
you're touching it.
Right, but
Yeah.
if you look at how that is just wrapped and wrapped
Oh,
around,
yeah.
you can't undo it, and you
No.
can't just do that in
You
this
couldn't do
in
that with
this
your
state
hands.
that you're sitting in right now.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm grabbing these.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very hard.
I mean,
I lift weights pretty often.
I can't
don't think
do
I
that
can
at
do
all.
Well,
that.
show them the other one.
And then this,
Yeah,
Loops.
that looks like it was done by a machine almost.
I mean, I can't.
And then
Yeah.
even if you can take,
Yes,
now,
that's
You
even-
real.
said this was done by a woman.
yeah,
Yeah,
who had a spinal injury actually.
Who had a
spinal
spinal
so
injury.
she's weak up, in the
Yeah.
arm strength.
And she just,
Yep.
I mean, I really thought
And these are, what are these
And you
made
could,
of? These
you probably could eventually pull it apart, but you could
But
not
not-
get all those little.
I can
No.
move it a little
No.
bit.
Yeah.
It's metal, but,
but
like,
twisting,
but it's,
no way.
And then if you're doing spoon bending, you can do light, you can do medium, which is more medium, or you can do very heavy. And if you do a light weight, and that means I can bend it just sitting here, then you need to be doing a lot of twirls and
yeah.
So you can use any kind of medium to
It doesn't
play with.
matter the metal. It doesn't matter the material.
No, and plastic. We've
Plastic.
had people bend plastic, not the kind that
Like industrial
that
grade
bends,
plastic.
but
the kind that snaps.
Oh,
Mhm.
what is going on with this?
I
How
don't
does
know.
that-
Show the fire poker.
Oh yeah.
So this is a fun story. Our yoga teacher was telling her husband she was coming to do yoga for our MC squared participants. And so
I don't believe it. I'm like, someone just bent it.
her husband handed her
Give me a
their,
Bend that.
they
Dude, there's no way. There's no
They
way.
handed her husband handed her the fire poker, the yoga teacher, and he goes, see if they can bend this. And so she brings it, and all week they try to bend it all week. And finally, Kimala, one of our female participants, said, let me try. Nah.
No.
And then she gave it to me as a souvenir. And I said, why are you doing this? And I was talking to my researcher, and he goes, well, that's why she could bend it. She didn't have any attachment to it.
Oh.
Which, there
It
is
didn't mean
there's
anything
some
to it to
truth.
be able to
There
bend
is
it.
some truth to that, but
It doesn't exist, kind of thing.
Right.
Wait, do you mean
The
she
spoon
didn't have attachment to the accomplishment
to the
Right.
of
outcome.
having
Yeah.
done it?
To
That's
the outcome.
That's a key step in a lot of this work.
So wanting to bend the spoon
Yeah.
will prevent you from bending the spoon, or
No.
wanting for the
No, it's not. It doesn't. See, that's just it. There's not a
yeah.
key
Yeah.
or a lock.
Okay.
So it.
Whoa. I feel like we're in the Matrix.
Whoa.
Okay.
Right. Okay. No key.
So
and no lock.
it's self exploration, and you have to figure out what works for you. And so you just get introduced to different things in different ways.
And
Like in spoon bending, we have a 5-hour web course online, virtual, in real time. So that
Yeah.
means trainers there.
5
with you.
hour Zoom.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so one of the things that we do is teach you like 4 different ways.
To do it.
Yeah. So
Because
it's,
one might not work for you, or
Right.
some might not work for you.
How long does it take? Do they have to like get in the zone in their minds?
You
Are they kinda
know,
like
it can
sit
be-
for 3 minutes.
it can take, again, it's
a personal
individual.
journey,
So
yeah.
when I actually helped create the spoon bending course, it's online. And so the trainer and I that did it, we're always like, when we get 3 hours in and nobody's bent a spoon, we're like,
Yeah.
we're WhatsApping
Like
each other going,
Yeah.
oh man. But most of the time in the first hour, we tell people to put them around them. And we say, get more than one, put them around you. And then just as we're talking to you, just pick them up. And, so some people will start doing it then.
Really?
And then in the magic of a group,
Uh,
one person does it and it seems to just kind of let other people go, wait, this works. And when they used to have, and I can't remember who the scientist was, but in the book Phenomena by Annie Jacobson,
Mhm.
one of the people that was into this would have spoon bending parties like on a Friday night. And he reported 80% of the people would be successful.
Wow.
And that's about what we see.
Okay.
And then if you're not successful, don't worry about it because now you know how to do it. You just need to
just
practice.
like today wasn't your day kind of
Right,
thing.
right.
Yeah, right.
You have the tool, just like remote viewing. There might be somebody over here this week that is not learning any of it or being successful, but now they know how to do it.
So there's no specific feeling you're looking for, but are there certain feelings that can definitely prohibit you from doing it, like fear? Okay.
Fear.
Fear,
I knew it
especially
would be
with out of
fear.
body and
Yeah.
those states.
Yeah.
Because you know how you were talking about, you got excited and you were like, yeah, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of like to bring you back to your body. But fear is an even stronger barrier because your mind starts getting real engaged. Like, oh no, what's going to happen? Where am I going? This is bad. Help me. Stop. So you're actually giving the message, I want to stop. And so you are in charge.
Oh, sure.
You're in
commanding
charge.
to stop. Your
Yeah.
brain's
So
going,
if you're
I don't like
if you're
this.
in fear,
That's why you have to be a good enough conductor of your own thoughts and
yes,
emotions.
Yeah.
That's why you have to practice focus levels.
Yes.
So the fear
And-
doesn't come up.
Right. And one of the tools that we have is called our energy conversion box. And that's where we say, put those thoughts.
Oh, I've done that one.
Yeah.
I've done
Yeah.
that
Now
one.
that's the reball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the
okay.
energy conversion box is literally in your mind's eye, your imagination, a chest, a box
Yep.
that you're putting things in that are distracting you, upsetting you. So that's where you would put fear.
Okay.
I'm about to do, and it's again, it might take you 3 months to work through fear,
Yeah.
or that I'm really excited and hearing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
What's the implications of this?
So what
Like-
I love about this, I call it bells and whistles.
Yeah.
It's the shiny thing.
To get your attention.
People who are watching this now are going, "Oh wow, I want to be able to do that." Oh, but why? Why do you want to be able to do that?
Yeah.
The why is the cool part, because it's the part that opens you up to really understanding how powerful you are, how you can manifest for yourself. And I don't really like the word manifest, but you can bring in these opportunities to yourself because you are so powerful.
Do you think that, because I don't understand how it works, is it harder to bend the poker than the spoon? And is it harder to bend a whole car
I would
than
say
the spoon? Or is it a belief in your mind?
I'd say it's a belief in your mind. Just like you've heard like people who talk about manifesting.
Yeah.
They say start with the small things so you can prove it to yourself.
Manifest a penny, then
Yeah.
manifest
and then
a quarter.
manifest the castle.
And then manifest
because
$1
right now
billion.
you can't. Right now you don't believe you can do it, so you probably won't. So that could probably be true for this too. Just to have small successes and then move up to the. But I would say it could work right away for somebody.
Yeah.
Jump into the fire poker.
Does this mean we can walk through walls?
No.
Okay. Yeah. What's the limit? What's the limit of this belief? What's the limit of this?
That's a really good question.
What I mean? Like,
yeah.
where does it
I guess
stop?
I'm not looking at it from that perspective.
Okay.
So I'm looking at it more of an expansion of myself. Just like my focus, what made me come here was that I wanted to be more intuitive, which now you'd say psychic.
Okay.
When I was wanting to do it, psychic was a weird word.
Yeah.
So I didn't say that. And so that was my motivation.
Why did you want to become more psychic?
I just thought it was a way to be more engaged with knowing what I was supposed to be doing with my life, making choices that were better for me and my family, people around me. I just thought it would give me insight that my 5 senses didn't have, which is true.
Yeah.
And so that was where I put my attention and my focus.
How often would you consider yourself to have? Do you get premonitions and those sorts of things?
I wouldn't call them premonitions.
Yeah, I don't know the right lingo. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to say the wrong, derogatory words. I don't know.
So what I found first, and I actually put together my own practice because when I started this, I was in my late 20s, which was a long time ago, and way before the internet. And so I was reading books. So I was reading books and trying to do this. And there was a point where I was reading books about psychics, and they were telling me how to be a psychic. And one day it hit me, you can't teach me how to be a psychic because this is all you know. You didn't learn how to do this. You just were this. So then I was on this mission. They were
gifted,
right?
And you maybe weren't. You didn't feel gifted.
I was, yes. And so
some people just are like, I'm psychic.
So whatever steps they were telling me, how did they know?
Yeah, they had been doing it since a kid, probably.
Right? They didn't. They didn't go through those steps.
That's
they just were making them up.
Yeah,
maybe psychically making them up. But but still, I didn't buy it anymore. I reached a point where I was like, no. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. And I'm going to create steps, and then I'm going to teach other people how to do it. So that was my motivation. So then I was like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
So I started with dream analysis. And what I've learned after I started that was it was a very good way to create a language for yourself that your higher self, that let's say guidance, could use to work with you.
Okay.
So it's your own language.
Right.
That you created.
So if I have a meaning if I see a rose in a dream, and I understand what a symbol of a rose means to me.
Okay.
Then that's a way to easily deliver messages to me.
Now you have a code that you can get delivered messages.
Yes.
Because anytime we show you a rose, you get shown a rose.
Right.
You will say this is what it's going to mean.
Right. Now I can't even tell you what I think a rose means at this point.
Sure. Yeah.
I just pulled that out.
Yeah.
But just like there's if you've ever had the dream about losing teeth.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is about, well, for me, it's about, and you can find this in dream analysis too. It's about giving away your personal power. Okay. So if you have that vision, either a vision in a meditation or a dream, the next day you can go, where did I give my personal power away?
Oh,
So you
okay.
can use it for that kind of help
Yeah.
too, where because if you're really stuck in your five senses and you're just going through the motions and you're not aware of all these things that are happening around you, how you're actually emotionally reacting to it maybe, and what you're doing, your actions are doing. So this is a way to have another source of information.
And so then is there would you have to dial in a little bit to get to that state, or are you kind of living in that state?
I did.
Okay.
So so it started small, and so it started with dream analysis. Then it started where I would meditate, and I would get these vignettes or symbols, let's say, while I was meditating that I could hold on to, consciously knew about, that I could decipher. So it's paying attention to dreams, deciphering those, paying attention to meditations, deciphering those, meaning journaling. And then, let's see, what was the next step? Then it went from just a symbol to a word, where I'd have a flash of a word in front of me. Again, lying down, eyes closed.
Okay.
Then it went to a sentence. Then it was sometimes in Latin. And I would go, in my head, I would go, that's Latin, I think. And then I would try to remember what it was so I could go look it up. And sure enough, it would be Latin.
Wow.
And then it would usually just be a phrase. I can't even give you an example now. And then it turned to hearing. So everybody's different. So this was my progression.
Okay.
So I'm basically, my strength is clairaudient, meaning hearing.
Okay. That's where you
So then it was hearing. And so at first I was like, oh, that's a bummer, because
I want to see stuff.
No, right, exactly. Because
Yeah.
that's what, like, the language we talk about is to see it.
Yeah.
And I'm in meditation. Even here, when I take programs, a lot of times I'm in the dark. I'm not seeing anything. People are talking about, it looks like they're looking at a movie the way they describe it. And I'm going, okay, I don't know where I am. It's black in here. And so I'm more like, hey, help me. I can't see what's going on. And so I get the information through hearing.
You hear messages even if you're in a room with people and no one's talking.
No. So I'll tell you more about that.
Okay.
So then the next step was, let's see. So I went from being able to hear while I was lying down, and then I started getting involved with Reiki. And I'm a Reiki master teacher.
Oh, okay.
And so one day,
I don't know much about Reiki. Will you give me a little soundbite on that? Of what Reiki is?
So it's tapping into a universal source that allows the healing. You're the vehicle for healing to go through you.
You're the conduit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's really learning how to be that vehicle for that energy to come through.
Okay.
And then it can, and I've seen it, witnessed it myself and other people using it,
for physical healings and other healings as well.
Yeah. I found in my practice, most people were wanting to come to know about career moves, which is really interesting because I've been a career counselor in my past.
Get your counseling services.
Yeah.
You can pick,
I mean, doing my Reiki, and then it's like, so I'd start getting messages about their purpose. So when I introduced Reiki and I was doing my private practice for a couple of years, all of a sudden that's what started happening. I started, while my eyes were open, while I was standing up, I would get information for the person. So that's the extent. That's the extent of my ability. And I'm sure I'm sure it could be more.
It can be developed,
but I don't have time.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a company to run.
Yeah. It takes time. You gotta work the muscles.
For me, it takes time, and for most people, it does.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like you need a why to be able to do it, because it's a self-development.
I would think
journey.
so, right? Because you say, okay, I'll take remote viewing. I think, oh, that sounds cool. I'd love to remote view. Well, guess what? I did, and I got what they call first place, which is meaning you nailed it. And I'm like, okay, I'm done.
You didn't even have an interest in
I don't want to
that.
do it anymore.
Really?
Yeah, because I've already hit first place.
So that's why. That was your why.
Right. Anything that I do after that, it's going to be hard to hit the first.
There's only one way to go, and that's down.
But if I really wanted to do that, then that's a different story, because then I would put my attention there, and it would be a skill I would be developing. And so mine was, I wanted to be more psychic. So that's where I put my attention.
Got it. If you get any premonitions about me or Austin in the middle of this interview, will you tell us?
I will, but
Okay. I'm not putting any pressure on this, but
That's what, yeah.
I
oh
think
my
you're going
God.
to be famous.
Don't ignore it.
Rich
Oh,
and
man.
famous.
Good looking?
Yes. So you're going to age really well.
Oh, great. That's
Oh,
great.
man.
You're going to
Thank
stay
you.
thin.
Yeah,
Man,
that's
I wish I
right.
could hear the messages you hear all the time. Are you familiar with the Farsight Institute?
Uh-uh.
They have an online YouTube channel. They teach remote viewing techniques, and they use symbology, but they try to standardize it across.
Oh,
So they have like a piece of paper that you'll start seeing images, and that's how they remote view. I didn't know if that was standard or.
It's not our protocol. We're following Joe McMoneagle's,
Yeah.
which is the protocol.
Yeah.
Others have come up or popped up, but we're not interested in.
Oh, okay.
Has anyone remote viewed have you heard of the drones going on around New Jersey?
I don't know if anyone's done that or
No
not.
one, you don't know,
So
the last
right,
few
but the
weeks
problem is
jumped on it.
part of this remote viewing thing is like if you go to Joe and said, "Hey, would you?" He doesn't need to know what the target is.
I've seen his.
Yeah.
They just put an envelope in front of him. And
So
they go, what is
for
it?
us to go, "Hey, Joe, check out the drones," it doesn't work that way.
Oh, yeah, it's not.
Oh, he almost needs to know what.
He does not need to know.
But I could put the word.
He needs to not
New
know.
Jersey,
Right.
New Jersey drones on a piece of paper. Put it in an envelope and go read that. Maybe. I mean,
but he's got more. He doesn't.
I'm
want
not
just,
saying he's got
I know.
time.
He doesn't want just one envelope and.
No, right. I don't know anything about it.
He's trying to get make it where there's no way to get information.
Yeah, right.
Ahead of the.
Well, he was telling a story when they were working because he was with the Army or the CIA or whoever in the military, and they were giving him coordinates that long, and eventually all the reviewers started kind of knowing where that was. Like, oh, it's about China, or oh, that's about, because they know the lat long, so they had to stop doing that, and so they had to learn over time to not bias the remote viewers and kind of going through that, with information, because it gets in the way. Basically.
We were joking. I'm a judge for Psy Games that's going to happen in Charlottesville, and so it's
the Psy Games.
And it's
this is a psychic competition.
Yes.
Oh, when is this?
It's next summer. It's going to be in July. And it's
cool.
in Charlottesville. And so we thought, well, we should put together a Monroe team. I would be recused from judging the Monroe team.
Sure.
And then one of our staff joked and said, well, let's go over to Joe and see if he could tell us what all the answers are. So that we come in and we nail it, But no, we won't do that.
I mean,
sounds like it works according to the
game.
rules.
Yeah.
That would be funny.
Because Joe is like a natural.
Yes.
They found him because he survived.
Yes.
Odds that he never should have survived.
Right. And that was, when they were
Vietnam.
putting this program together, like, who do we get to do this? Because nobody's going to go, hey, I'm a remote view, or they didn't know what it was. I'm psychic. I'm psychic.
Yeah.
In the Army. No, that you weren't going to have people lining up. So they thought, well, let's go look at, and it was at the time of Vietnam, let's look at the number of missions people are surviving that are extraordinary.
Yeah.
And he was top of the list. That's why he's 001.
He told a story about how, the platoon got to know him,
Yeah.
where
he would
just get up and walk out for some reason. And everyone looks at each other and they get up and walk out.
Or move their sunning chair or whatever.
And it just gets hit like 4 minutes later. Yeah. And just, there was an aura about him when he was there. And he just has the gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was, as he says, it was career suicide to accept that mission. But he was directed to, because that was a weird thing to do.
So
at the time,
how many people come back for a repeat course?
So this is really hard for us to give you a straight answer, and the reason is because how many years are we looking?
Yeah.
So it's so interesting because since it is self-evolution and self-development, and then there's resources in life that happens. It could be that we have some people come and then they're coming like 2 or 3 times the next year. We have one person that comes and then they don't come back for 10 years.
Yep.
And we, so it's
hard to measure.
At this point, if we were looking at a 2-year return, it's about 50%.
Oh, okay. That's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. Right. They keep getting interested.
Yeah.
Do you have kids that come as well?
We've had a program for teenagers before, but it's complicated to do that because you need the chaperones. And
it feels hard to do just for the week.
And the way we're set up,
and
it's really for adults.
The housing
that don't need to be supervised.
Are there any techniques that people could use with their kids to open up their consciousness a little bit without a formal training?
Yeah, I would say like spoon bending would be a really good one, and you could look on YouTube
Yeah.
and see who's demonstrating it. And
How to
kids
spoon
are
bend.
really good at it. Like if they
Oh.
don't have any idea that they can't do it.
Right. Especially if
So
you're the adult and you tell them you can
Right.
bend a spoon.
Yes. Yeah. So that would be one. And like the Psy Games,
Mhm.
Google that, because there is a company that teaches children how to like read with a blindfold and
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah.
Where they're playing catch with a ball and
Right.
they're both blindfolded.
or they're doing
Or they're like-
obstacle courses
Yeah.
blindfolded.
or reading a book
Mhm.
blindfolded.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's out there. So you wouldn't even have to I'm not saying send them there, but just look at it and emulate it.
Wow.
Just say you can do this, and then just spend some time.
What do you say to somebody who thinks that this is
Hogwash.
hogwash or worse, it's, demonic.
Oh, yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
the one true God doesn't do this. And so you're
So-
going to the other side.
So I'll tell
or-
you what's very
what-
interesting.
What do you think about
We've
that?
had nuns, priests, Buddhist monks,
Okay.
and they come here and they experience it, and they're not seeing it as the devil. They're seeing it as a tool.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So we have no belief about anything. So you bring your beliefs. We're not trying to change.
Do you
what
think
you
that's how it
believe.
is in the world as a human? It's a blank slate of kind of like what you believe sort of builds what you become.
Yes.
It's all blank. It's, and as
Well,
kids, we're probably fed stuff.
Right. I would
as we're
say
being
your
raised.
family, your culture.
Of course.
That's
A lot of
that's
conditioning.
overlays.
Yeah.
So we get to adulthood with a lot of conditions, and that's what
Of
we
course.
need to unlearn.
Yeah.
But it's not about what you believe as far as your religious beliefs or your philosophical beliefs. That's fine here, and this all works with it.
Yep.
So,
Because that's all in your logical brain, and you
Yep.
need to quiet that down anyway.
right.
How?
So like a participant that's a Christian will maybe see Jesus. A participant that's an atheist
Yeah.
might just see a circle.
Yeah, the waves of the ocean or something.
I don't know. you know?
Yeah.
It's sort of like this field is using your beliefs.
Yeah.
It's like you said, like you had your language
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Receiving a rose, or
Right.
that's
And
if you're Christian,
sometimes-
that's your lens.
Sometimes you might have, like, say, a Christian who interacts with other avatars,
Yeah.
and it's opening their
It's expanding.
minds about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but again, we don't care. You can be an atheist. You can be very religious.
Yeah.
You can be from any background. We're not here to change you that way.
Yeah.
We're here to help you become a better person.
What do you think it is about binaural beats? Like 7 hertz, the gamma, like why? That goes back to the physical question I
Yeah.
was asking, physical versus spiritual.
Yep.
It seems like we can change the physical nature of what's
Mhm.
going on in
Mhm.
here, and that somehow rings like a bell or something that hits the field. Like,
Mhm. So
yeah.
that's just putting the frequencies are helping your brain go to different states of awareness. And so we have different recipes, and the focus levels would be an
Yeah.
example of that. So it's really about how your brain is interpreting 2 different frequencies that are inaudible. So then your brain has to figure out how to process that, and that's what leads to this frequency following response, brain entrapment.
Yes.
That helps you go to these places and stay there.
Yeah.
So, and like a Zen, somebody that's practicing for 20 to 30 years, they can go there, but it took them 20 or 30 years of
Yeah.
practice, and they can't really hold it that long. At least some of the studies show that maybe it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Oh.
With the technology,
But with the
you can stay there longer.
It keeps
You can be
feeding you.
held there.
yeah.
However, it's not a guarantee. It's an opportunity
Sure.
every time you're playing it.
You said frequency follows response. Can you explain that a little more?
Well, brain entrainment. So it means, so whatever you have, one frequency in one ear, another frequency in the other, and this is the binaural beat. So like 104, 100 or 100, the brain is subtracting the difference. So that's 4 hertz, 4 cycles per second. That represents a brain wave, alpha. And then your brain is more likely to follow to that space. Now, our layering is much more complex. So we're not just going to have a meditation that's alpha or a meditation that's beta, except for our concentration stuff, maybe.
Sure.
But it's a mix. So
it changes.
It changes. It progresses.
Yeah.
And the theta is the sweet spot of where the subconscious meets the conscious mind.
Yeah.
Delta is also where, someone that's psychic, a medium, they tend to be hanging out in that delta theta range, but are remaining alert.
Do you guys
And
have
that's the trick.
EKGs here?
Uh-huh.
And that you're like measuring,
Uh-huh.
if I was here, we could throw it on and I'm
Mhm.
doing some exercise and I'd get the readout
Yes.
of here's the states you
So
were
we
in.
have what we call Mind Mirror that we use in several of our programs. And so participants can have that experience where they have, it's a software that feeds all their data into it.
And they throw on an EKG
Uh-huh.
and it just interprets
And then we have a
everything.
research department where they use the 32 channel, 64
Oh, okay.
channel.
Yeah. Because the more the better.
Yeah.
More the merrier.
And that, of course, is such a long process that it's not something we do in programs because participants wouldn't have much fun. If all morning you're
just getting dressed up for the show.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on psychedelics and like mushrooms? How does that?
So our position is we're psychedelics without the psychedelics.
That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like.
And a lot of people will tell us that. I reattended Gateway in November, and one of the participants was someone that was very much into that world.
Mm-hmm.
It had helped him move out of trauma, very serious trauma. So he sees it from a beneficial side. Mm. But then he said what our technology did was now going to be a support for him, because you just can't be doing that stuff all the time.
Yeah.
So it's
hard to live.
Yeah. And then another person told me that has also used psychedelics that for them it's a calmer experience that's similar.
This is
a
calmer experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've had lucid dreams before that were very manic. So when I hear that, that's what because I've never done the psychedelics, but that's my thinking about it. It's like it could be a more manic experience than a flowing experience of you being in charge and.
Yeah, because you can turn it off. Whereas with the psychedelics, it's
in
your system.
You're on the show. You're on the roller coaster.
Yeah, until it ends.
Until it ends.
Yeah.
And do people ever see entities or see aliens or
in their meditations? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what sort of interactions have they reported?
Oh, all kinds of just communication, talking, going somewhere.
Any negative ones?
So this is interesting because if you read Bob Monroe's first book, Out of the Body, he talks about running around screaming all the time. So he's meeting these dark entities, and later, if you read his third book, he realized that it was more about his reflections of himself. Things like a form was shaped of something he's dealing with. So that's my belief around it. And I also believe you invite in, you let yourself be open to things, and you could tap into something that's unwanted. Just don't do that. Like my intention is always to be I only accept anything that's positive, better for me, for my highest good. We have an affirmation where we say, I want contact, but I only want it with something that's equal or greater to myself.
Mm.
Like, I'm not messing with that.
Yeah.
Unless it's myself it could take the shape of a witch that's scary. And then I go, well, hey, why don't you turn into something that I could talk to? And so it's usually aspects of yourself.
It's like in Harry Potter, where they have to picture their biggest fear almost and deal with it. So that's why
fears that could show up. That's a good example.
That's why you need to work on your focus, because you need to be able to control that and say, I'm taking it off of the witch. I'm putting it on something else.
Yeah. And I'm in control. You're always in control. It can't hurt. Nothing can hurt you. You're in your check unit.
I have a question. We are more than our bodies. Mm-hmm. That's the premise. Mm-hmm. When I discovered Bob Monroe, and I read the first book, and then I started meditating a lot, but I didn't have binaural beats. Mm-hmm. Then I started to, and I had a roommate, and we started doing it for hours every day. We just lay down, put them in, and we started having dreams. We started sharing dreams. Yeah. Which was so strange.
You would meet each other in your dreams?
I would wake up and say, you were in my dream. And he would say, no way, you were in mine. And I said, what was going on? We were on a boat. And it's like, I was on a boat. Wait, you were on the left side, right? I was on the right.
Way.
We were seeing each other in the same dream.
This happens all the time here.
Really?
In meditations.
So you'll see each other.
Yeah.
Where do I stop and you begin is one thing I kind of, I guess.
Oh dear, I don't know that I can answer that.
Well, what I meant to say, I started like questioning, where is his consciousness and mine? There's
a lot of overlap.
There's union at some point.
Yeah.
So I guess it is like a field. It's one thing, and we all tap into the one thing.
And this is we're Earth life system in our physical form to live it, to experience it.
And do you feel that there's a life form after this Earth life form?
I do.
Okay.
I do. And that's part of the programs we offer. You are introduced to that idea and experience it. We want you to, like, I can sit here because you're not in the program. You're asking me questions, so I'm going to answer them. If you were in a program, a trainer would say to you, well, you go see.
Sure.
Yeah. We're about to do this meditation exercise. You go see. You come back and tell me.
Yeah.
And that's what changes, I believe, to I know, because you experience it.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
How much of this, man, this is so interesting. How much of this is objective versus belief? You know what, like,
no.
Well, it feels like belief is a fundamental force to me. I feel like that's what we're starting to learn, where we measure electromagnetism things and we put numbers on it, and therefore we think it's real.
Yeah.
Belief is also one. We just
like a field.
We don't have a way to put numbers on it yet.
Right.
And most people don't study it. It feels like this is one of the only places being studied.
Which is why when you get 20 people in a room, their belief fields, I don't know they combine, and all of a sudden everybody's bending spoons.
Yeah.
And you know, like, because
the group influence.
The group does amplify?
Yeah, I think so. But here's another part about that group experience. Every program we offer, many different people are coming together from all walks of life. So I took, again, like I said, Gateway in November. And so people are first coming in the first day, and you're, you know, as we always do, you're sizing people up and like, who is that? And I don't know what that. You know, you're just like, who am I going to want to hang out with? Who am I going to eat breakfast with?
Who am I going to sit next to at lunch?
But like day and a half in, you've had a few meditations, exercises. You don't care. Like, it's like all of that gets stripped.
You're all one anyway.
Right. And so no matter what, you know, where you come from, who you are, what you believe, you all come together as this cohesive group of people that just, you know, it's amazing to watch and witness how that works, because you just literally take your mask. You don't even realize you're doing it, and you put it aside.
We need more of that in the world, it feels like.
That's why we want to reach so many people.
That makes sense.
So that you can be talking authentically with each individual that you interact with.
What happened? Did you guys get a lot of inbounds from when Joe McMoneagle was on Sean Ryan?
Yes.
Because he was on Sean Ryan for 6 hours.
I know.
And I watched the whole thing.
I did too.
I split it into 3 nights. It was movie night.
I
3 nights.
Up to 2X, and I was like, this is a long one. But I was enthralled.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I bet they're just gonna get swamped by this. Or anybody who watches that, I would think would at least go to your website.
Right. No, we saw a big kick.
Start to
in the
inquire.
analytics.
I mean, it's one of the most interesting things you can do.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to pick a hobby or something to do with your time.
Yes. That's the way I felt. So when I was coming here as a participant, it was my vacation. You know, because it was I just enjoyed it. So I was like, well, I'm just going to put my money here.
Yeah.
And instead of going to the beach,
invest in myself.
Coming here.
Yeah.
Because it is fun. That's the thing about it. When you do mindfulness and you've got to clear your head, and this might make a few people mad, but I don't get that. You know, it's like, because it can be, you can have just as much growth, just as much experience, maybe even more, having fun.
That's right.
Yeah.
I saw a thing that said we should stop teaching kids how to work hard, and we should teach them how to work joyfully.
Right. And that's the mindfulness is like, you got to quit thinking. Quit thinking. You know. And it's like, seconds. It's not fun. Like, how long is it? I've been doing this 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But I got to do it 10. You know.
Yeah, totally.
That's not what's happening here. You're coming out of your exercise going, Bob brought me back. You know.
Yeah. You're bummed it's over.
Yeah.
Totally. So are you guys pretty? What's the availability for the next 3 months? So you guys you working on a queue, or how's it going?
So we're sold out with Gateway through May of next year.
Okay.
RV is a year.
5 months. What is
RV? Remote viewing.
Oh, RV is a year out.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yeah. So this is
amazing.
This is a new playing field for us.
Is that when did that happen? Just in the last year or two?
Just now.
Just in the last couple of months.
Yeah. Well, this year.
This year.
We've been working on our growth strategy for 3 years.
Yeah.
And so it started showing up.
That's incredible.
Yeah. End of last year, but really this year.
You're formally the CEO, is that right? Mm-hmm. And so when did you become the CEO?
21.
21.
2021.
What was your strategy that you wanted to bring to the table? That
it was the high growth strategy, because Bob Monroe, it's said that when he was dying, he realized that this needed to get out there.
Yeah.
Before that, he would say, when you're ready, you'll find me.
Mm.
So it just wasn't, there was hardly any effort toward getting it out there.
There's no evangelical aspect.
And so when I showed up, they had already decided that they, as an organization, that they wanted to reach 1% of the world's population. And that's about 80 million.
Yeah.
So when in my first in-person board member, we started talking about it, board meeting, we started talking about it. And we were like, well, wait a minute. We're just saying this. We're not measuring it. We don't even, what are the 1% doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we defined it. So it's 1% of the world's population with a direct experience. So that means we can count you having a meditation or an exercise.
Okay.
Or coming here for a program.
Sure.
And then we measure it like every quarter. We're tracking it. We're still a little behind.
Yep.
We got some catching up to do, but I think exponentially, at one point it's just gonna
pop.
We're gonna be over it.
Well, and it has to be online then to scale, right?
Yes, yes. So we have the app.
Because you're a year out.
Right.
Oh, the app. Yeah, I mean,
we have the app and we have online.
Institute.
We have product.
Yeah.
So I've co-created with another individual, connecting with guidance. And so you could do that for 3 hours. You're going to have 3 meditations. That's a direct experience.
Is this something that somebody who has high anxiety or depression or is dealing with any mental things, is this helpful for that?
Yes. The byproduct is.
It's a byproduct.
The byproduct is that a lot of that goes away.
Why?
I don't know. But I'll tell you, I have 2 stories I like to tell, happened within months of each other. One, I was in Oklahoma. I was living there. And Oklahoma is Tornado Alley at certain times of the year. This was May. And there was a weather forecast that said, hey, you're about to have a tornado. So I prepare the interior room, which for us was a half bath. It means the only room, like a room without windows, external doors. And so I put the pillows in there, the radio, get it all ready. I had 3 dogs and a daughter. So all of a sudden, and we're watching it, the news, and all of a sudden that we had this, what would you call, like the speaker system outdoor, the siren,
yeah.
but they would also talk to you.
Okay.
So at one point the siren blares and then the voice goes, take cover immediately. And so I'm like, uh-oh. So I grabbed 3 dogs, the child, we get in the bathroom and I turn the radio. And the radio broadcaster says, the tornado is right over Iba and Loper. Well, guess where I was?
Iba and Loper.
Yes.
Oh, no.
So I look up and I was like, this is either going to end well or bad. And it's either going to touch down or it's going to pass over.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden I realized I'm not concerned about that. It's like, wow. That's, so
Whoa.
How did that happen?
Yeah.
And thank goodness it had a happy ending. It
Yeah.
did pass over.
You're
It
here.
did hit some. It did go down, but not over my house.
Okay.
And then a couple of months later, I was having surgery. And so they take me into where the surgery is going to happen and sit me in a chair like this. I'm facing the surgical table and equipment.
Oh.
And the nurse starts taking my pulse. And she looks at me. She keeps like shaking her head. And all of a sudden she looks at me. She goes, you are the calmest person
Whoa.
that I have ever, worked with before surgery. And I mean, I'm looking at the thing they're going to cut me with.
The knives, the scalpels.
And I'm like, really? I don't know. I didn't know this happened. I didn't know that I had reached this new place.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's like, and people now you'd always want your doctor's advice, but people have told me they will stop. They don't need the medication anymore, the anxiety meds and the.
Wow.
From doing the gateway or just
doing, even if you don't come here, like just at home.
Right.
Yeah. Just using the meditation, using the sound technology. Mm-hmm.
Well, we learned from that book, The Body Keeps the Score, that we do keep a lot of tension in our actual nervous system.
Right.
So maybe in that process of letting go, you're actually letting some kinks out.
Right.
You're just actually getting more fluid.
Yeah.
That's
and
nice.
I think one of the things is when you start being consciously aware of the subconscious messages that you are getting, that's when these things can shift for you. Because a lot of that is just very deep buried beliefs, things that have happened to you.
Running in the back just keeps reinforcing.
That's you're not consciously aware of, but it's playing. Like I said, it's just playing there. And you're getting it on some level.
It's
and
like
it's interfering.
Yeah.
It's interfering with your ability to function. I'm supposed to be really afraid right now. You know, that's a take.
Yeah.
Why am I supposed to be afraid? Because when you were 5, you know.
Yeah, you watch too many Disney movies.
Yeah,
It's all Disney movies in the background. Yeah.
Right. So
Saw Mufasa die, you know, that's still with me. I still remember it. Hey, bringing it up.
Sorry, man.
He's
Thought we'd work it out while we were here.
Yeah, that's right.
It's one of your goals. Was to,
this is
Mufasa,
workout match trauma.
Yeah, that's right. When Mufasa died, it was a lot. It was huge.
What did you want to be when you were little? Did you think you'd be what you are now?
No.
Right.
That's a good question. I knew I liked to perform. I was always putting on plays and writing plays.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I didn't have much idea about that.
Yeah.
I'm from the Deep South, so probably was thinking more like the traditional life.
Have you focused on the Deep South in your outreach at all?
Yeah, when I've lived there.
Okay.
I have, yeah. When I was practicing Reiki for those 2 years, I was in Mississippi.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What's an example of a healing you've had as a Reiki? Where do you
Reiki master teacher.
Reiki master teacher. Okay.
So one that stands out to me because it was really the first time that I had experienced it. And what I always teach is don't say you did anything. So it's not anything I did. It just happened to be.
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
But this lady came and she didn't even tell me what was going on. Like not everybody tells you everything that's physically going wrong. And even if they did, it's not for me to decide what to do. Again, it's an intelligent life force that's working through you. So after the session, I excused myself so she could get ready. And then I go to the bathroom and I come back around and she's still in my room. And then I noticed she's sobbing. And so I was like, okay, what's going on here? And I was like, oh crap, what's going on? And she said she had walked out because we had a gift store. I rented a space that had a crystal shop. And she had walked out to the crystal shop and realized for the first time in 6 years, her legs didn't hurt.
Oh, wow.
And she just had this chronic condition in her calves that was unique. I mean, it was uncommon, but whatever it was, it made her legs ache all the time. And she hadn't had it since. Every time I check in with her. And that was 5 years ago or 6 years ago.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's one. And then we've had situations in energy medicine. It's a course I teach with a medical doctor. And we do teach it here. We've had people we have like medical documents that they had shifts and changes.
Oh, sure. They can prove what they had before and they don't have it anymore.
And then another participant who's a good friend of mine, Candy Sanderson, who wrote the Reluctant Messenger, she had a healing here, that she had an esophagus issue. And then when she went back home, she went to the doctor and he goes, I don't understand what just happened. It's fixed, whatever it was. And she's got the medical records.
Wow.
And that wasn't Reiki. That was just being here.
Wow. You said crystals. Can you tell me about crystals? What's the deal with crystals?
Crystals are rocks. No. So I used to think that. I started training with Dr. Brian Daly, who has worked with crystals in his medical practice for years.
Okay.
And so I see demonstrated by him that they are very powerful. They have their own energy field.
Because of their
structure.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it would be their structure, and you probably could explain it better than I can. I don't really think that way.
Their structural makeup creates a energy field.
So you can photograph with the right software the biofield image around it. You can see that when you have a crystal in your hand that it impacts your energy field. When you point a crystal at somebody, it impacts their energy field.
You can take a photo. You can take a.
It's called biofield imaging.
Biofield imaging. Okay.
And we use that in our program.
Where someone puts their finger in it and it shows you like your chakra energy.
Yeah, that is similar to what I'm talking about. This is Thornton Streeter.
Okay.
It's called biofield imaging, based on the work of Harry Oldfield, who was the original one from the UK years ago. And it's looking at your biofield or your energy through this camera with the software that.
And so by holding different crystals, you can you pointing them, manipulating them. You can actually take these biofield.
Yep, and you can see that it's
the difference.
Google it, and you'll see when crystals stand by themselves how they can have different energy fields.
Okay.
And it's interesting because people will go, "Which crystal should I get? What is the meaning of the crystal?" And our answer is, it doesn't matter. Which one do you like better?
Because it might interact with the field of belief more. So it really it's what do you believe about it?
Right. Do you and we do little demonstrations where the one you love, it has a bigger impact on your energy field. The one you sort of like, maybe you don't even really like, it still works, but it's not at the same level.
There's I live in Latin America, and a lot of people, there's like a lot of witches and sort of witchcraft. And whenever someone gives you a crystal, everyone tells you have to clean it. And so everyone has their own cleaning protocol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have an idea about that.
Yeah, I would love to hear it. I want to hear it.
Well, so intention is everything. I mean, really. If you came here to energy medicine, you'd walk away with a completely different understanding of that. Intention is everything. So my crystals don't need me to do that.
Yeah.
They clean themselves.
Yeah. I love that.
There's a funny story, Brian Daly, who I was telling you about. He lived in Arizona for a while, and he would like to go up to the Chapel Rock? Anyway, there's one of the rock structures, and he'd like to go up there and take his crystals to clear them.
Yes.
So he said one day he's got a backpack full, and he's hiking of crystals to get them up there to clear them in that magical way, that magical energy.
Yeah.
And he forgets a water bottle. So like halfway through, he's about dying, and this guy comes down the mountain, has extra water, and he goes, "Hey man, what are you doing?" And Brian goes, "I'm taking my," real proud of himself. "I'm taking my crystals out." "Yeah, but I don't have any water." And the guy goes, "How many?" And he looks in his backpack, and he goes, "All you got to do is take one crystal. Like, you can be tiny, tiny, tiny. You clear it, and then you take it to the rest of your crystals.
Throw it in a pile, and it cleans them all."
So, yeah.
Oh, maybe you just need 1% of them. I'm seeing a pattern here.
Yeah, but then he's kind of adjusted that thinking too. Like, it's like, you don't need to do that. You just, the intention is they're cleared.
Yeah.
And whatever negative is presented to it, it doesn't stick. Just like with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can say, "I'm not accepting that." You can throw it at me.
Yeah.
But it's not going to stick.
How much are you, do you ascribe to the whole chakras thing?
I mean, we talk about that in energy medicine, and we work with a scientist who says they are legitimate energy centers in the body.
Yeah.
So, of course, it came along much earlier when we couldn't look inside the body and see that they are actually there.
That's what I was trying to figure out the question around what's objective and what's belief. And I'm kind of like, well, do chakras work because the person doing it believes that they work?
They're really energy systems.
They're energy systems.
But the idea about the chakra system and how it works is a belief. You're right. So the energy system's there, and that's just a way to use it's a tool. It's a way to use a tool to do something, like to balance.
So what do you mean by energy systems?
Well, just like you have in your head, in your gut, those are like energy systems within your body. So you've got them all throughout. And in our bodies, we have thousands of chakras. I mean, we have them in our fingertips.
Oh.
We have them all over.
They're everywhere.
But in the chakra system, the core channel, they're just clustered together more and bigger, just like the gut is big or bigger than the brain cluster.
Yeah, there's more neurons in the gut than the brain, right? I think, or
something like that.
Yeah, we're not on record saying that.
No. Google that one. That one. Ask ChatGPT. They'll know better than I will on that one. Okay.
That's the idea of it.
Yeah. What about Kundalini awakenings?
I think those are real. I think people have those.
Yeah. I mean, well, I've heard stories of people. What gave me some curiosity around it is that, I'm like, oh, is this belief? And people are, how much of it is I'm creating it, but it's still helpful. But then some people get into like a car accident, or they fall down the stairs and they bump their tailbone, and that triggers it. And they didn't even know Kundalini was a thing.
Right.
And so then I was like, oh, is it physical? Like physical, because they had a compression in their tailbone, and it,
I don't know. Yeah.
They said, I felt a lightning bolt shoot up my spine to my brain, and it blew out, and I heard a loud noise, and they described this whole thing, and they didn't even know what it was.
Right.
And so I don't know. It's just confusing to me. I'm trying to make sense of it. I don't know if you have any more sense of it.
I don't.
Because I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
If it with belief versus is it gravity? Is it like gravity? These things are just there, just like gravity exists. Because I guess I'm like, can you stop believing in gravity enough to where gravity doesn't exist anymore? Or
to fly, yeah.
Is it a field? Can my belief field overpower the gravitational field?
the
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if
I'm gonna tell you to go find out for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm trying. That's what I'm asking you. That's what we're here doing.
That's beyond my understanding.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah, I don't know if there are any answers.
Yeah.
That was wondering what you thought.
I like what you say about your crystals are self-cleaning. I want to use that as just like a tagline. Like,
Yeah, that's
just
fine.
in general for things in life. Like
Yeah.
my crystals are self-cleaning.
Yeah.
But there must be some extent to where external influences are happening,
Mm-hmm.
especially maybe on other people in your family.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, do you think that there is like a battle of light and darkness or good and evil going on around us?
That is a tough one, and I don't really know the answer. And the reason, well, of course, nobody does. But the reason I'm saying it for myself is because I haven't dealt with that.
Yeah.
I've heard stories of other people dealing with dark energies. Again, I think it's intention is what.
Yeah.
And even it's somebody that you might, let's say you had a family member or a friend, and you're like, well, they're not inviting that in. Well, maybe they are. And some action or some thought that you're not aware of that's inviting something in.
Some bit of doubt even maybe.
It's just like when we're here with what we're doing, we're opening up ourselves to experience, and that doesn't happen here. We're not having people have those
dark experiences, basically. It's not
a
surprise.
It can be like a nightmare, again, like we were talking about encountering darker parts or shadows of yourself or fears.
It's yourself.
Yeah.
It's good to encounter those because you're trying to release that.
But I'm sure it's out there.
Yeah.
It's not a world I experience.
I have this is a harder question, I think. Okay. I've had some friends that have suffered from schizophrenia and some mental illnesses, and they see things that are with them, physically present to them, as real as day, it seems, but they're not real to me. And I wonder, like, if I start believing that it's real as well, I can almost get myself to the point where I can start seeing things or at least feeling or hearing voices or something. Is there an aspect to this? If someone comes and joins the program and they struggle with things, could it amplify that and make it worse?
We screen who comes here for that reason, because if you've got a mental illness, then it's hard to say what any kind of and how you will take any kind of input.
Yeah.
So we are very careful about our application process for that reason.
That sounds wise.
Yeah. Because we just don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you're not trained. You're not trying to be trained professionals for mental illness. It's a different field.
Right. And we're not treating a special need and special population that has those types of needs.
Yeah. And it's on the internet. You put it on the internet, so anyone can explore it if they want to.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What's the big stone out in the field? There's a stone about bigger than me.
Right. We have another one up top too.
Oh, okay.
We have two venues. So you're here at Nancy Penn Center, and that was Bob's wife. Her name was Nancy Penn. And then we have one up top that's Robert Monroe's house where he and Nancy lived.
Okay.
It's been converted. And we call it RMR, Robert's Mountain Retreat.
Oh, cool.
They both have a big crystal, and they came from Brazil.
Oh.
And Rick Ralston was a man that lived on this land around the Institute, and he donated them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And so they're art installations, essentially?
Yeah.
Or is there I didn't know if there's any other intention.
I think they power the place. I think they believe.
Yeah. Well, we're on crystals. We have a lot of crystals.
Right.
Yeah, we're on a crystal bed. Yeah.
Just powering all the magic that happens.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. It feels like you guys are scientists. Do you ever get that sensation?
Well, we have a research team that are scientists.
It's all about creating hypotheses, letting people test them out for themselves, trying to create a repeatable process. It's just in a new field.
Right.
Because I think a lot of people look at this field of research and think it's kind of woo.
Right.
Yeah.
We're still on that edge. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, but that's where science always starts.
Yeah.
The Earth was flat and round Earth was woo until it wasn't. Right?
Right.
I think.
Right. No, we're making, it's making inroads for sure of
Are
changing our
there
understanding.
any recent sort of new learning lessons or new things that have been uncovered that you guys have discovered in the research team? How much of this is sort of we've discovered what Robert Monroe did and quantified it and are putting people through that, and how much of it is new ground sort of?
I would say what first came to mind is in our research department we've been doing a study with Healy and seeing if the brain patterns were coming together as the two were working. The energy healer was working with and so that's had some interesting results.
You hook them both up to EKGs while the session's going on.
And do you see some correlations?
That's the original, I guess it's called the pilot, gave us indication that we should take it to
Keep
the next
going.
level.
Oh, cool.
And then we have, so when we do MC squared, we have a random number generator that we bring, and the participants work with influencing it. And I mean,
are they getting results?
Yeah.
You know, I read about a study where the guy had a duck or something, and he focused on it and he made it. It was supposed to be running all over the place, and he made it go here. But then I saw a bunch of people say they couldn't replicate the study, and so it looked fake. But that's why this is so interesting.
We're replicating it because we do it every program.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so just so I understand, you have a random number generator, 1 to 100. I don't know. And you're like, everybody make it do 85.
Actually, we find that individuals are better. When we do groups, people have different motivations, different ways.
Intentions.
Intentions. And so it's better if the individual, so each individual has a shot at it.
Oh, so one person, get it as close to 85 as you can, and you just focus on it being 85.
And then we also have we have another research lab up top at Roberts Mountain Retreat, and we have a copper wall that we use for experiments, and we have instrumentation that healers and individuals are trying to influence, and we're seeing some really interesting.
Copper.
Well, the copper is for insulation, and but what they're instruments that. So if you were a participant, they'd say, okay, focus your healing attention on blah blah blah. And then with the idea that that's influencing the equipment.
Yeah, got it.
And so we've seen results there. And some individuals are like off the charts. Like my researcher gets so excited. He's like, "Oh,
we got one.
I got one. And when is he coming back?" You know.
Yeah.
So we get some of those. But most people that come through these programs will be able to influence it a little bit. And then you've got the gifted ones that just blow it away.
It seems
that's
to lend credence to like, how there are gurus and they amass a following, and maybe if there is maybe they have something in their brain or how they are that they push it out onto everybody and it hits their brains because they're just that gifted. Maybe there's something to that, I guess, in a way. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I prefer no gurus.
I don't know why people follow gurus, just so we're clear. But
and Bob was not a guru.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But somehow they exist and they amass millions of followers. Some of them do.
Yeah.
And I'm always curious.
Yeah,
like,
me
what?
too.
Like, because you're just a human like me, and so something's happening viscerally to you.
Yeah.
That would go, I need more of this person in my life somehow,
right.
And they're drawn to it. So I don't know how that works.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I watch lots of documentaries about it.
Yeah, totally.
Has the Monroe Institute ever had like a dark day where it's just started taking a wrong direction, maybe even before you got here?
And what do you mean by dark day?
I don't know. Maybe someone became a guru, or somehow it just became.
So if someone comes here as a participant and they go off, I wouldn't even say that that's Monroe's.
Yeah,
that's
right.
an individual coming.
Because they're not endorsed by you,
right?
Guys,
and we have had people in our history who've come and worked with Bob and then taken the information and knowledge.
And tried to start their own.
Yeah,
and
they
start a course.
Yeah, or other. Yeah, so we've had a little bit of that.
I was wondering if that's what happened with the Farsight Institute and Courtney Brown. I really wanted to ask you about that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. They're out teaching remote viewing on the internet, and they're charging money for it. And I can't get a read on, like, my gut can't get a read on what's going on there. So I'll have to go
trust your gut.
Yeah, I'll have to go talk to them next to try to get a better read.
Yes, and find out where their protocol came from.
I think he traces origins back to Bob Monroe. I think
maybe they
so.
took a course.
I could be wrong about that. Look it up on the internet.
What I would, if that's the answer you get, I would like to know. Because Joe can help us solve that.
Oh yeah, that'd be interesting. Okay, something to follow up on.
Yeah.
Right.
Man.
How much do you charge for like a week long?
So the week long includes room and board, picking you up at the airport or train station or bus. And it's $24.95, and that includes the program and everything.
Oh, cool.
That's not bad.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like an Airbnb. That's just like
a vacation.
Go to the hotel.
And it's great out here too. It's a good place to spend your time.
We try to keep, but we're a nonprofit, and so we try to keep it down as much as we can.
But you're booked a year out till May with Gateway, and a year out with RV. So, is there any? Are you guys thinking of expanding the physical location to have more students and building out infrastructure physically, not just digitally.
Yes.
Yeah.
As we're watching this unfold, yes, those are the next discussions to have.
Right.
Are you looking to expand to other territory, like other geographical?
So one of the things we're going to do is we're looking right now, scouting for places in the U.S. That we could have gateways,
like a West Coast,
right, to make
office.
it more convenient for people. We would follow or mirror our international model, and that is we rent the venue.
Okay.
So we do that in Arizona.
So you don't get the real estate. You don't
Right.
have to plant somewhere. You
Right.
just find a spot that.
And
lets
we
you
do
come
that in Arizona right now. We've been doing that for years. We were in California until that little place got a mudslide and it is no longer there.
Sure.
So we know how to do it, and now we're getting so much interest that we need to do it.
How big is the staff?
Not very big.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's about it's under 20, and that's counting remote.
Oh my gosh.
That works on the organization. Then we have a hospitality staff
Okay.
that is here to clean and cook.
Yeah. You guys are punching way above your
Yes,
weight.
we are.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Under 20?
Yes.
Including remote?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
You work hard, long days.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a lot of passionate people.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to. Man, I want to do the gateway.
Yeah, me too.
Figure out how to
Yeah.
get in here.
Yeah.
Get maybe in May. I mean, maybe next June.
Yeah.
Or Psy Games.
Yeah.
Those are coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some other things in side games that are?
You know, what I can do, and y'all can bring it up later. I could email you the descriptions, but it's like remote viewing. There's like 5 or 6 different categories. So individual little games. Each team will come, and each team will have one player that is the expert in one
in their
category
field.
because they're all different categories with different skill sets.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
How many years has this Psy Games been going on?
This is the first one.
Oh, it's the first
Really?
one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was going to say how many people come. I bet.
So this is Hakeem Isler, who is a participant of ours. He came here, showed up last year. And then he has been doing VibraVision is the name of the organization that has some training here in the U.S. and internationally. He took that program, and then he did some kind of training in Australia where he teach it to children. That's what his focus was.
Oh, right.
And so he's the one that's putting this together, and he's got a nice group of people coming together to be judges, to support it. Yeah.
I was curious if there were any like cousin organizations or like supportive.
We're so unique that
Yeah.
it's a hard thing to answer, but like IONS is an organization, we Institute of Noetic Sciences that we collaborate with.
Do you collaborate with DOPS at all? The Department
Actually,
of
one of
Perceptions?
our researchers is part-time, splits time
Oh,
here
okay.
and there, and
With
has
UVA.
done that for 6-7 years. And then we have like Bruce.
Bruce Grayson.
Yes.
Grayson.
Yeah.
So we do a little survey research here.
Yeah.
We have like several survey research projects we have going on with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
then the random number generator. A lot of those things we put through their IRB, which is their review board.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear about a story, if you don't mind, about coming out of body.
Oh,
That's
for me?
interesting to me. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't think. Maybe one time.
Yeah.
But it's hard to know. Sometimes this is my imagination.
Yeah. Well, so one of the things you would learn after coming here is imagination is very important.
Okay.
And so you have to stop talking to yourself about what did I imagine? What did I not imagine?
What's real? What
You
The
start
imagination
experiencing.
primes the pump. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
sure.
it gets things going for you.
Great.
So out of body, so you can have what's called a traditional. So that's the one you've read about where the person has the vibrations, maybe hears the train noise, and then they float up, then they look down, see their body,
themselves.
and then they shoot out. And
Yeah.
then maybe they have a silver cord tied to them.
Yeah.
So that is
civil cord?
silver
cord.
like a way to get back.
To their body, so they can pull back.
Yeah.
Oh, I've
basically.
never
Okay.
heard that.
Wow.
And,
Okay.
and so that is about 20% of people who report having out of bodies have reported that way.
Okay.
More common is other ways.
Oh, okay.
And I have had the traditional one without the silver cord, where I looked down and because I wanted to, like that was my focus.
Yeah.
And most of my journeys, it's interesting. Most of them have been what Bob Monroe call locale 2. So locale 1 would be if, let's say, one of our staff was over here meditating and they had an out of body, and they go, oh, let's go see what Allyn's doing. And they come in here and they stand right there. Maybe we should see them on the camera at some point. But they can describe to me later, or they'll say, hey, were you in the conference room?
Yep.
Talking to two guys that I don't know, you know?
Yeah.
And I would go, yes, you know.
Yeah.
So that would be like a locale 1.
Okay.
Locale 2 is more about the cosmos. It's still in this universe.
Oh, but it's
yeah.
You
it's
just went way further.
It's
I
just
thought you were going to be like America. Locale 2. You're like universe.
And then locale 3 is just totally different worlds.
Okay.
Yeah. So most people are in 2. Most people will go to locale 2
because they go all over the universe.
Yes, like they find themselves in the stars or around Mars, or whatever.
Yeah, on a spaceship. Or something.
And then locale 1 is not as common, but when you find yourself there, let's say again that the staff member came here and they'd go, why were the lights upside down? Like, why were y'all doing this apparent interview with the lights? And the camera was turned the wrong way. So energetically stamping the room can look different in an energetic state. Does that make sense? Like they could see it, maybe they would see a lamp right here that's not here.
Yeah.
So even though it's locale 1 and you can identify what's happening, there's still some off. Usually some things off.
There is.
It's like some kind of energetic interpretation of our physical form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because your mind's not attuned to adjusting for that image yet. Like when we see, they say that we actually see upside down, but our brain knows how to flip upside down. When you're doing your first energetic readings, I'm guessing you don't know how to interpret it yet. And set everything in the right place.
Right. I don't know.
Just a guess.
Yeah. So going back to my own experiences, I tended to be locale 2. And I would just find myself, my intentions were I want to meet my guides. Which I never did.
So
in and out of body.
And your intention of meeting your gods would be locale 2.
Guides.
Sorry, locale 2.
Southern accent.
Sorry, Southern accent. Guides.
That wouldn't be good.
Locale 2.
Yes.
Yeah, because you could say I want to go to locale. You could set your intentions to locale 3.
Yeah. Locale 3 I've heard very few people talk about. I've done it once.
Oh.
And then I know a trainer that's reported doing it several times. And then Bob Monroe in his, I think it might have been, I can't remember if it's the second book or third book, he talks about that experience where he actually would go into this person's life and live their life. And he would go away and then he'd come back and, a day or 2 would have passed and, he'd be living that life.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How do we know we're not doing that right now?
I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
You wouldn't,
Yeah, you don't know.
We're in locale 1, right? I don't know.
We're upside down. But so most of mine, sometimes there were lessons, like I would be given choices and I would make a choice. And then if my understanding was if I didn't choose right, it was presented again. Like which box do you choose? And then just finding myself like in Egypt with hieroglyphics, and so I focused on it for about 2 years.
Okay.
But I never got to a point where I was like, it didn't have more meaning than just the experience itself as it was, happening, I guess is the best way to put it.
Got it.
I got more of my information, or I get more of my information from what I call projected consciousness.
Okay.
And so that's more of what happens in meditation or in the wee hours of the night where you're asking questions or intending to be in a different place or revisit a past life or a future life or
so not out of body, but it doesn't. You don't have to go out of body to get that insight.
Right.
You're getting that insight in your own body.
And what I love about when people come to the OB Spectrum course, which is the out of body course, that's what they're like. I want the out of body, and they usually want the traditional out of body.
Yeah.
By the end of it, if they haven't had the traditional or even had what they call a real out of body, they don't care as much because it's the outcome. It's not how you get somewhere. Right. Now, the how is fun.
Sure.
If you're in a lucid dream or you're in out of body, you go, here we go.
Yeah, right.
But that's not the.
It's just fun.
That's not the meat.
That's not the point.
Yeah,
that's not the reason I was. Yeah, right.
Unless your why was to have fun, then it might be.
And then if that was then you'd probably, that focus would change how things happen for you.
Probably.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good to know. Yeah. Taking notes for next time I
for the future.
Zip out of my body.
Yeah. Noted.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this.
Yeah,
this is incredible.
You have really nice energy too.
You do.
Thank
it's
you.
so calming.
We commented on it when we first met you. It was like, wow, that's very nice. Yeah.
Well, thank you.